Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we are diving into one of the most terrifying humanitarian crises unfolding right now. A crisis so severe that even government officials in Iran are quietly admitting they cannot control it anymore. What is happening inside Iran's water system is not just a shortage, not just a drought, and not just mismanagement. It is a total collapse of an entire country's ability to provide the most basic human need: drinking water. And this collapse is now threatening the lives of more than 10 million people directly and tens of millions more indirectly. This is not a warning for the future. This is happening right now in real time inside one of the most powerful and geopolitically sensitive nations on Earth. Iran today is standing at what scientists are calling its zero day. That means the taps don't run, the rivers don't flow, the wells don't refill, and the reservoirs no longer hold water. Imagine waking up in a major city and turning the tap for water and nothing comes out. Not a drop. For millions of Iranians, that has already become the daily reality. And for millions more, that nightmare is only weeks away. Iran's environmental experts have been warning the regime for years that the country is using water faster than nature can replace it. But instead of fixing the problem, the government kept denying it, dismissing it, and ignoring it. Now the bill has finally arrived, and it's not something Iran can pay off, negotiate, or suppress. Iran's own Ministry of Energy revealed that dozens of major dams across the country are now at less than 15% capacity. Some are effectively empty. The Tehran River, Iran's largest and historically its lifeline, has shrunk into scattered pools of polluted water. The once powerful Zay-and-Rud River that flowed through Isfahan is now a dry grave of cracked earth. Farmers stand on land their families lived on for generations, but now the wells are dry, the soil is useless, and the villages are being abandoned. In some regions, entire communities have vanished because they simply ran out of water and had to walk away. But the real shock is happening inside major cities: Tehran, Shiraz, Tabriz, Mashhad, Qom. These cities do not have enough water for their millions of residents. The infrastructure is so degraded that even when water is available, half of it leaks into the ground before it reaches people's homes. The pipes are old, broken, rusted, and never replaced. Iran used its budget on military expansion, regional conflicts, missiles, proxies, and nuclear technology, but almost nothing on water infrastructure. And now that neglect is coming back like a tidal wave, what is worsening the crisis even further is Iran's rapid population growth in past decades combined with explosive industrial expansion. The demand for water skyrocketed, but Iran's resources did not. Groundwater was pumped non-stop from aquifers for decades, and now those aquifers have collapsed. In some places, the land is literally sinking because the underground water chambers have dried up. In Tehran, satellite imaging shows the city sinking by more than 25 centimeters every single year. That's not just environmental damage, that's structural destruction. Buildings crack, roads warp, pipelines burst, and entire districts become unstable. The Iranian government is trying to hide these facts, but truth is leaking faster than the water. Videos show people lining up at 3 a.m. for a few liters of tanker supplied water. Social media is filled with footage of dehydrated villagers begging authorities for help. Angry protests have erupted repeatedly in Khuzestan, where temperatures above 50 degrees Celsius turn water shortages into deadly emergencies. In some cases, security forces have even opened fire on people demanding water. Imagine that, citizens shot for asking for drinking water. It sounds unbelievable, but it's real. Experts say Iran's water crisis is not caused by drought alone. It is man-made. Years of poor planning, reckless dam construction, excessive water extraction for agricultural projects that never should have existed, destruction of wetlands, and political corruption all created the perfect storm. Iran turned rivers into cement channels, drained lakes for short-term profits, and ignored scientists who warned the country was heading toward collapse. Lake Urmia, once the largest lake in the Middle East, has shrunk by 95%. A lake that used to support millions of people with agriculture, fishing, and tourism is now a salt desert. Winds blow toxic salt into nearby villages, poisoning farmland and making entire regions unlivable. Farmers say their crops die before they even sprout. Animals collapse from dehydration. Children suffer lung problems from salt dust storms. And this is only one lake. The same story repeats all over Iran. The most terrifying part is that the government has no real plan. The officials talk about water rationing, but rationing doesn't help when there is no water left to ration. They talk about desalination plants, but building them takes decades, not months. They talk about cloud seeding, but cloud seeding cannot fix empty rivers. Iran needs structural reforms, but the government refuses to change the policies that caused the crisis in the first place. The international community is watching closely because a water crisis on this scale can trigger regional instability, mass migration, social unrest, internal conflict, and even political collapse. Water scarcity has already sparked violent protests in several provinces. Military forces have been deployed repeatedly to control crowds. If 10 million people cannot access safe drinking water, the consequences are not just environmental, they are political, economic, and humanitarian. Families who once lived normal lives are now filling buckets from polluted canals because they have no choice. Mothers walk miles under scorching sun to get water from distant wells. Children faint in schools due to dehydration. Hospitals struggle to maintain hygiene because even they do not have enough clean water. This is a country of more than 85 million people, but its water resources were managed like a small village. And now, something darker is emerging, rumors that the government is preparing for mass relocation from multiple provinces. In simple words, parts of Iran may soon become uninhabitable. Scientists are warning that Iran could lose 1/3 of its livable land if aquifers continue collapsing. Imagine millions of people forced to move because their home no longer has water. Iran would face internal mass migration larger than what the Middle East has seen in decades. The situation has also sparked tensions inside Iran's leadership. Intelligence reports suggest internal debates at the highest level about how to manage the fallout. Some leaders want harsh restrictions, others fear public uprising. The crisis is pushing Iran's political system to its limits because no war, no sanctions, and no foreign pressure has ever threatened Iran's stability as much as this water collapse. The Iranian people, despite suffering the most, are showing incredible resilience. Videos show farmers sharing their last buckets of water with neighbors. Volunteers distribute bottled water in rural areas. Activists risk arrest to document the truth online. But resilience cannot substitute for water. Iran needs real solutions or millions of lives will be at risk. Experts say the country has less than 5 years before irreversible collapse hits even major cities. This crisis is not far away. It is unfolding this very moment. Children in Iran are already growing up in a world where water is a luxury. Families are living day to day hoping their taps work. Entire communities fear the day their last well dries up. And with global temperatures rising, the future becomes even more terrifying. Iran stands at a crossroads. The world has seen countries fall because of war or economic collapse, but Iran may be one of the first major nations to face collapse due to water scarcity. 10 million people are already facing critical danger, but the real number at risk could be far higher. Without immediate action, Iran may face a humanitarian disaster unprecedented in the modern era. This is not a political crisis. This is not an environmental issue. This is human survival. And if the world does not pay attention now, the consequences could be catastrophic, not only for Iran, but for the entire region.